Let's see. What was that about? Okay. My phone protective case is wrecked up because enforcement got me out of uniform and wrecked everything I have. And maybe it was enforcement or maybe it was the hospital they took me to that malpracticed on me. They wrecked my uniform as hard as they could. They've wrecked my phone charger case, or my phone protective case. They wrecked my badges. This is sad. I hate seeing this thing off kilter like this. I can't really fix it. I can't afford a new one. I want to mark them up for the loss they've caused me. I'll never have justice. I mean, justice would be the end of this type of government and these corporations. Justice would be the end of the medical system and the justice system. That's what justice would be at this point. Oh, I wanted to talk about something else. I need a new place to live. I need a new way of life. I need to leave this country. What I'm doing here is wealth. This is money making. You know, this sort of reminds me of Andrew Yang's politicking on where's my check from the social media companies? Because this is worth money. I know this is worth money. Not many people have this skill level and talent level I have to make this sort of money, to create this sort of art worth this sort of wealth. And I can't have any of the money in currency terms of what I make. I mean, it's over here. It's over in this nation. This nation is no longer a living nation. This nation is an atrocity. This nation is a rape. This nation is a crime. This nation is a murder. I make the money, and I can't have the money. I need money to survive. I can't even have the money I need to survive, despite the fact that sometimes when I make my announcements about my work, the stock market needs to know, such as I make an announcement in the comments on a Facebook Live video of the New York Stock Exchange, the stocks run up wildly. And this happens regularly. Like, it's clear, my announcements run up the stock market. And yet, I don't make 1 cent in currency from that work. It's just all loss. And I have no way to recuperate from the loss. And I have no one who will enforce for me. You know, everybody's just going wild against me that wants to. It's hard to explain. It's like being a different species. But it's not even that, because there's usually some sort of controls against how evil people can be against other species. It's sort of like being a bug, and everybody can just step on you as they please, or capture you, do whatever sick sort of experiments they want to you, try to rip out your arms and legs and stuff. And you know what's really sick here is the way I make money. I make lots of money, and I'm sure, and I can see lots of people and lots of corporations making lots of money from my work and the money I make, and I don't get 1 cent of it. I don't have the money to afford housing. I don't have the money to afford food. don't have the money to afford clothing. I don't have the money to afford the shoes I need. I make more wealth than most other businesses combined, most likely. I can't get 1 cent from this collective of people in control of currency and running the industry. But they sure get paid big time from the way they use my work. I can't get the money I need to survive. No matter what I do. I have a great education. I have a very high intelligence level. I keep researching how. How can a person make money? It's likely I'll never be hired by anyone again. But that shouldn't stop me from earning a living, because I've lived my whole life to run my own business, to have the power to make money without having a boss. But I have no way whatsoever to earn a living. I have no way to have a livelihood here. The last time I was on Facebook Live, I was still the General of the Army of the USA. Well, I've been overthrown by coup now. If you were paying attention or not, nobody would obey. Nobody cared that I was their ranking officer, and nobody would obey and follow my orders. So now it's to the point, the whole government, all of the military, and basically all of the corporations are mutineers in this thing. All of them have cooed me together with their collective will to disobey. They didn't even bother with false practices. They didn't bother to try to get me some sort of false kick out of the military. They didn't bother to bring me up on false charges the right way. They just all told the false narrative of reality and collectively have decided to disobey me while pretending whatever it is they're going to pretend. Like this 4-star guy is now the highest rank in the military. All out of shape and out of order. But we got the new Attorney General. And the Inspector General is supposed to blah, 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 blah. Well, they stole my Inspector General's badge, and then they put in the new Attorney General. And now they're saying they need to call on the Inspector General. Well, I was the Inspector General. And if I did things right, I have standing orders to control this. They don't care. Nobody cares out there. For the most part. Don't let me say it to you if it's not you. But these people, they're all mutinous. They're mutineers. They're just completely disobeying. Like it's just some stupid video game. They can put cheat codes in for it. Our way of life, our government, our governance. It's just a bunch of cheating, disobeying people. Telling false narratives of reality. They're going to lie the whole way through it. They're going to completely disobey the system. I tried to get a bunch of standing orders in before they overthrew me. So anybody that gets in there is supposed to do what I say still. This was supposed to control them. But I mean, I'll tell you what happened. They took me in for the coup, and it's like it turned into Nazi Europe or Nazi Germany. They took me in for the coup, took me out of power. I was preparing for this coronavirus pandemic. I was creating sustenance packs. I was creating kits of what people needed to survive. Well, I didn't have the housing solutions down completely. I had supplies for everybody. I wanted to deliver to everybody with the military. I had it ready. I had medicine. I had treatment for coronavirus. I have treatment for coronavirus. I was putting on videos about this. It turns out it probably cures some people. It inoculates some people. It treats other people. I had all that worked out. I was all prepared to send out kits of that to everybody. Instead of what happened, they took me out of power. They shut down the economy. They quarantined everybody they could. They're forcing everybody to wear masks as much as they can. You know, like if you're so poor you can't afford a mask, or you're just out of luck because there's not enough masks to be had, you don't have rights anymore. If you don't have a mask in so many ways. I mean, they did that. And then we get these protests, and the police are totally running wild, and they brought out the military to just be like the police. It's a sick, sad game. It's tyranny. Our leaders are tyrants. Everything is running out of control. They're dancing the military around like they're their puppets who will just do whatever for them. They don't care about the justice they're supposed to follow. They don't care about following illegal orders. this type of artwork I'm trying to survive on. In addition to my research and development, on top of my military work that I also own and hold the rights to, that I should be able to make a living with, I develop things as well. I create offerings in the marketplace. I'm trying to get a loan. I'm trying to get a $20 million loan, at least. I was trying to get a $4 million loan instead of the $20 million loan recently. I have a piece of software I've created. It's a video game. It's a martial arts simulator. I had it valued in a way by trying to get somebody to write it for me. And as I was trying to get my quote for what it would cost for his business to create this program for me, I ended up making it myself. And I showed it to him because I had further work for him. And he said it would have cost $20 million for him to have had his company make it for me. And that's just the cost of having it made, not actually the cost of how valuable it is. So I want to put that down as collateral on a loan. This should be done by now. I should be able to have this done with automation. No humans should be involved. I should be able to click through some of these automated systems I've started to use that always just kick it over to the human to corrupt it. I should be able to go through this automated process, upload my collateral, give my bank numbers, and get my loan money. I believe I've done everything so right, there is no reason to so much as have a human involved. This is just step-by-step procedural use of the way things work. There's no human intervention needed. There's no extra judgment needed. I don't know how broken people's minds are, but it's sort of like I'm just handing over $20 million to get $20 million back or something. Well, more than that. I'm going to hand over $40 million, or show off $40 million. Prove I have them. And there's this collective will of economy. Like all economy means is this collective will to refuse trade to some people. And some people get to trade, but you're really stuck in a class-based system, like there's a cap on how much you can ever make. Maybe you can never be your own boss. You can never get out from living a life of having a boss. It's sort of like I'm being treated like the Native Americans used to in our stories they taught us in grade school, before we had currency. You know, it's like I'm living this life like we don't even have currency. Currency was brought around, or invented, to try to teach people who wouldn't trade with others to trade with others, because currency is supposed to be accepted by all. But what we have is basically the same situation where people have learned how to override the system of currency by just denying currency to people so they can never actually have fair trade. And that's what's being done to me. It's like I'm one of those Native Americans. They could never have any trade. Sometimes it's like I'm a slave back in the days after the Civil War when the slaves were freed. These are the systems they've had, and they have, and they use. And there's a collective will of industry, but it's like it's all my competition. I run a business that is the art of research and development of the universe. I am competing with all in all industries. I'm not competing in an unfair way. I'm not trying to destroy people. The reality of it is, though, they all collectively refuse me the right to trade in this economy. I have no right to trade or work or even have an economic presence, for the most part, with free trade. This is whatever economy, currency-based economy. Demise. It's all garbage. It's a way of ripping rights away from people. There's no freedom for all. It's not liberty and justice for all. It's freedom for the highest class that has all the freedoms who also have the freedom to deny the freedom to the rest of us. And our politicians, they're pathetic, they're sad. I don't want to say too many mean things. It's horrific, it's horrendous. It's like they're Satan's demons. They won't talk back to people's points if they're not in the right class. It's like they're these special people we can never get around. We can never see in person. We can never have a conversation with. We can never speak to and have them speak back. And it doesn't matter how good our points are. And it doesn't matter how bad they need help. They're just like automation on an agenda. It's like there's something that's not even real. You can never measure to be real. So I'm really mad, like the rest of the protesters out there. And I have all the answers and all the solutions needed, more than just one or two. Well, it seems police and government agents have qualified immunity. They're lawless. They're totally lawless. There is no law for police or these government agents with this qualified immunity. It's like it's a joke, where it says it happened like 40 years ago under Nixon, and they brought out this qualified immunity system and said the way for these people to get their justice in their different justice system, the special qualified immunity justice system, the way for that to happen is for it to be based on precedents. But it was a brand new system with no precedents. So there's no precedents, so there's no law for them. They're lawless. And people are offering change. These politics are slimy, scumbag cowards. They're worms. They're maggots. They're the worst. Whatever they're doing ain't good enough. Well, let's ban a little this or ban a little that. Let's ban the chokehold, but not the knee restraint. Let's stop the no-knock entries, but only in like 2 conditions. There's still 5,000 conditions they can do it. We need massive, overarching change. What we need is government that never causes suffering. It's that simple. It is this simple. And this is part of the reason these politicians are just like automated puppets on an agenda. And they don't speak with us. Because by the time someone like me, or anybody who wants to use my point, says something like, we need government that never causes suffering, the next time they try to suggest they should cause suffering, it's nearly a crime. It's definitely a sin. You know, there is no way to speak back to the point of needing no suffering on the side of suffering without being wrong. This isn't a debate. This isn't an argument. This is settled. I mean, it's over. The logic is firm. There's no debate here. We need suffering not existing. We need all existence that can never suffer. There's no debating it. It's just a logical fact based on logical proof. And we can still have policing, and we already have some of it going on. What we need, if we're not going to get rid of the police, which is crazy. It's just totally crazy to think of having a society with no enforcement, although I would love it, because the enforcement is just totally against me at all times. It's part of the corporate competition code and all the whatever else. Every chance they get to attack me, they do. So if they were gone, I'd be really happy. But it would be strange out there, like, now all the rest of the people on the street that are using them to attack me would want to attack me. What we need, if we have any policing left, I mean, there's one answer. I only have like one good answer for the change, for the reform of policing. There's one answer I have, and it is prevention-only policing that never uses violence, that uses no special rights, that does away with all apprehension, detention, arrest, and charging. We'll get rid of police stations. We'll get rid of police cars. We'll get rid of jails and prisons and courthouses. We'll get rid of the judges. We'll get rid of the prosecutors and the attorney. Although there may still be the civil side. but there'll be no way to put people in jail ever again. And the only type of policing that will go on is prevention. And not some sick sense of prevention like a corrupt cop who'll say, well, you were about to murder and I got premeditated murder. That was prevention. No, it's still crime. We're talking about prevention, not some sort of crime that stops a worse crime. Prevention only. Like, the prevention force goes to the bar and gives free rides to the people too drunk to drive. And rides back to their cars. They had them there the next day. Like, the person who called in a counterfeit charge against George Floyd would have actually followed code, as it seems to be instantiated, and checked the bill for a counterfeit and refused the bill as counterfeit to prevent the murder of George Floyd, or the second-degree murder of George Floyd, the suspected second-degree murder of George Floyd. Even in the state I'm in, where I can't have a livelihood, and I can't trade with anybody in industry with the massive wealth I make, I should still have a way to survive, bringing in income, getting currency, and that would be my ability to file lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit over all the crime and all the things I can raise penalties on that occur to me and to my business in the name of the competition of industry. But like I said, police don't work for me. Authorities and the justice system, it doesn't work for me. It only works against me. I have suffered so much loss. And you know, I need a lawyer that would work for the payout from our win only. No lawyers will work for me. None of this industry, barely any of this industry. I have housing right now. I have a hotel. They sort of work for me here. I've done decent. I've managed to stay here longer than these other hotels that threw me out illegally, that brought up a bunch of false policy to throw me out. Then I have like $50 trillion worth of damages I could win from them if I could have the court work. So I'm trying to say not everybody, but it's like nearly everybody in industry will not work for me and only works against me, and they're doing every dirty way they have to compete against me. Because I'm in competition with all of them. And because it's just a free reign for them. There's no one to stop them. They just do whatever they want. The law means nothing to them. So I should be able to make money by hiring a lawyer who will work for the payout from the win only. And I have so many cases, I can't even think of one to bring up right now. And I should be able to basically make an example of one of these businesses for what they have done to me. This is beyond just winning. This is about one of these wins where an example has to be made of the people who have done this, or of the business that has done this, such that it's like I should win 100 times what that business is worth and it would make in a year. It should happen fast. But I need to get out of this country. I need out of this country now. Because they've proven they totally disobey me. They recognize me as the highest rank in their military and their government so that they could know my powers. So that they could know what I could do if I were to be one of them. And they have completely disobeyed me, trying to use my powers once I was outed to make this place perfect. And now we have what we have, where they're distributing my powers. And they're putting on fiasco shows. They're locking you down at home. They're closing the economy. They're totally taking away your livelihoods. They're putting on these shows of force with the military, like they're dictators, and the military is their puppets. All out of order. They're not allowed to do any of this stuff. This country is in such a sad state of affairs. It's such a strange place to me. It's just like being in hell on earth to me. I try to talk to people. I'm still able to encounter and converse with humans around here. And I try to talk to them about making money. You know, there's this part of my personality where, I can't make the money. Nevertheless, I just want to see the money made. I'm trying to teach people how to make the money. It's like they don't want it. It's really strange. It's like the American dream is just totally dead. I try to teach people how to make the money. I try to hand off my money that's not currency to people to earn currency with or trade. But it's like there's something else. It's like they're not even human. They don't want the money. They're locked into their little slave place. It's like they know their place and they know their role and they're happy with their livelihoods where they have enough to survive without being in too much suffering, like I am. It's like everybody is just a bunch of slaves, a bunch of puppet slaves under higher ranks, under masters. And they're all broken. like they're happy being slaves. And they go around pretending this isn't what it is. But when you actually start getting into it with them, like help me make money, or take some of my money to make money, or just acknowledge that money is money, they won't. This is basically everybody I've spoken to for so long in the past. It really is. It's like they're just slaves who know their role. And they won't break it. They won't break out of it. And they're trying to pretend it's not what it is, but it's totally what it is. And they got things terribly wrong with them. Like, you'll try to talk to them about money and tell them something's money. They'll try to say, that ain't money. But it might be that they just don't even know what money is. Sometimes I think they don't know what money is. I think maybe they don't even know how to count. I want to leave this place. I'm begging for some sort of safe haven. I am in such extreme, incredible danger. Humans should have humanity and compassion for me and want me in safe haven and want good for me and protect me in ways. I'm begging the Pope, I'm begging Pope Francis to help give me a safe haven, maybe take me in. I adhere to the strictest form of his religion, of Roman Catholicism. I adhere to the strictest code of it. I'm like an extremist of adhering to the rules. I'm begging to the Dalai Lama to give me a safe haven, to maybe take me in and let me live with him. I'm also a practicing Buddhist, and again, I adhere strictly to their rule sets. I'm a perfect person in these ways like they are. I don't deserve to live among the heathens or whatever, trying not to offend too much. I deserve a better life than this. I deserve to reap what I sow. I created a religion. I was calling it something like the religion of no suffering, or the never suffering religion. I keep having to work over the terms. It's a religion that is to never cause suffering while it achieves all existence that can never suffer. And I created this religion wanting suffering ended for all, thinking I would reap what I sowed, and I would get a life of suffering never existing, or that for my work creating this religion, the suffering in my life would reduce. But what happened was, it seems like nearly everyone I've ever encountered since then decided to worship the anti-religion of my religion, and to try to make me their prime target, to have suffering always, to have maximum suffering. I'm begging the president of Russia to give me safekeeping, safe haven, to take me in, like they did for Assad. I mean, they overthrew him, and his government went totally mutinous or something like that. You know, from what I understand of the rules of war, I'd just be happy being their prisoner. I'd be happy being a Russian prisoner of war as long as my rank of general of the army was honored and I was given the proper capture for a general of the army. I'd be much better off. Police reform. New released video shows officers standing by as man drowns. We need prevention-only policing. Prevention-only policing. With our servants having no special rights, always having to be peaceful, definitely never being called on to put their lives in harm's way, basically always appearing as citizens. No other option out there is even trying to solve all these issues that have been brought up together. They're just taunting us. They're just flicking us off and stuff. And I'm just like completely positive and sure that if you look at these rules hard enough, there's ways to get around them. Or there's just basically this fact that these people are lawless. Who cares if there's new rules? They get to break them. So, to handle this, if you speak about it, you say we need government that never causes suffering. We need policing that never causes suffering. We need one law, that is, all existence that can never suffer. that all existence can never suffer. One law, that is, that all existence can never suffer. And if anybody dissents, they're wrong. It's a fact. It's logic. It is how the language works. It's like saying true means true. Nothing else is going to work. You know, there are a lot of great points to be made about this brainwashing of these enemies I'm speaking of, these enemies of all life. These people in control that are just sort of like automated puppets on an agenda, who are trying to teach that there is no slavery. But that is not true at all, because Lincoln the enslaver set it up at the end of the Civil War so that only the government got to have the slaves. And if you don't believe me, I have some simple logic. Well, I explain to you, prisoners are the slaves. The police, as they put their power on you, make you the slaves. The police are the slave masters for the government. They're the wranglers. And all of us are their slaves in their theories. And according to their constitutions, where they're slaves upon conviction or upon dual conviction, or worse yet, simply to punish crime. Slavery is allowed to punish crime in places like California and Illinois by their state constitution. Slavery is allowed upon conviction in other places like Indiana. And slavery is allowed upon dual conviction in the 13th Amendment to the Federal Constitution. Slavery lives on strong. And that's why prisoners get paid slave wages, have no human rights, because they're slaves, because slavery is strong here. So, if this police reform does not stop slavery, it's like they haven't even tried. If this police reform does not do away with qualified immunity, they haven't even tried. They're just putting on a show. It's a dog and pony show, song and dance. It's like it's fiction almost. It's their Jedi mind tricks. Like, they'll just keep on talking until everybody shuts up, and they'll go away, and things will just keep on going the way they went. Answer is government that never causes suffering. The one law is that existence can never suffer. The policing we need is prevention only policing with a force that is like normal citizens, except they have a duty to always be peaceful. Anything less is an atrocity. Anything less is torture. Anything less is just punishment for a class different than them. Anything less is like making us their bugs, while they're something different, that think they're above all of us. It's so sad to me to think about how I have all this talent. I'm so great with the guitar. I can sing so well. I can put on a live show that is real. I can create edited art. I can create music with the editor. It's better than almost all that other music out there, at least within the style. But I can't have money for it. I can't get the currency I deserve. I can't get a show booked or a tour booked so that can be my livelihood. And I often see my work being stolen or hear my work being stolen. And I'm not sure if it's a fair steal, like they heard my work and wrote their new work out from it, or if they just actually take my samples and use them without paying me. And there's also this competition in industry. Like, I'll make a new tune that sounds like an old tune, and instead of the industry being good and using my music and using new music in their industry, like for their commercials, they just use the old tune that my new tune sounded like. I must leave this place. I don't deserve to be stuck here in this endless torture and punishment for no good reason of the industry and the government that's totally taken by it. Nobody deserves this. Nobody should have to go through this. There should be no way to do this to somebody. And what it is we don't actually have a government. We don't actually have an economy. We don't actually have industries. It's totally different terms. It's all just like war. In war terms. The war terms aren't even right. I hear there used to be special terms of religion that could explain something so evil that have sort of gone away, because when you let this collective that is so evil have a word to describe it, it will just have to be worse than that word that describes it. It's a rape. It's a crime. We don't have a government. It's a crime. We don't have an economy. It's a rape. And the problem here is, no matter how much money I make that I'm capable of without spending currency that I like have none of to try to make money with, I can't get currency back for it. Like, there are some conditions in place. Like, if you create money without using currency, you're not allowed to have currency for it. It's one of my guesses. And I do use currency to make my money. It's just I don't budget it so that it says I'm using currency to make my money. I use currency to buy a computer, and I use currency to have the internet for that computer, but that's like my normal daily life. I don't write that off as the currency being used to make money. And then I use the computer to make money, like I write a program with it, and I have no way to get currency for it. It doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter how much it's worth. It doesn't matter who's going to end up using it. I don't get to have currency for it. And if they take it from me in the illegal ways they do, to use it for themselves, my copies, my stuff gets wrecked and raped like madness. And I pay my taxes. I should have the right to use the roads and the bridges and the police. But I don't have the right to use the police. The last time I tried to call the police, they gave me a false charge of misuse of 911. We don't have a government. We have a crime. We don't have industries or an economy. We have a rape. So I'm begging to get out of here, to have a decent life, to have safety from corrupt authorities, housing, and the food I need. That's all I'm asking for. It's not even like I'm demanding I make the centillions of dollars for the centillions of dollars of wealth I create. It's like I want to make $1 million on a centillion dollars. And it's still just too much. We don't have an economy. We don't have industries. We have rapes. We don't have a government. We have a crime of crimes. I'm severely injured from the coup that overthrew me. They stole everything I owned that I was in possession of at the time. And while I did get some of it back, they raped it terribly and it's just sort of like they gave me their weapons to use against myself. They did it to everything. Like my uniform they had at the hospital. They wrecked it so hard. It stunk so bad when it was in such great shape when they got it. They set it up so a button would fall off right away I really need it. It hurts me like there's poisons on it. They wrecked up my phone and phone case. There are new scratches on my phone and a chip. And they seem to have the intelligence to do it in such a way that my fingerprint identification doesn't work right anymore. They wrecked up the case it goes in. Justice! How do I get justice? I hate to say it, so let me control it. You know, I sort of wish I could wake up tomorrow and all the humans would be gone. And they'd leave me some sort of sign. Like their last punishment, that isn't really punishment because I've done nothing wrong. And their last torture for me was just sort of setting me up, saying they're all gone. And there's nobody left around to do their evil ways of punishment and enforcement or stopping me from having my resources. But it is what it is. It's like they all locked up and went away. And you know, it's like they didn't all have to die. Maybe they just all flew off to space or something. I don't care. Make it a peaceful term. Like they didn't all die off, so you're not all mad. They're all gone, and I'm left here without them, with the rest of the life here. And everything is basically mine in theory, except they locked it all up and did their whatever. They didn't totally wreck it all. And I'd be in such a better place. I'd be so much happier. My life would be so much better. I might go and try to release all their dogs and cats if they had them all cooped up in the house to die eventually. That's a really tough assignment. Otherwise, I might start smashing in windows or something to try to get supplies with no fear of police ever, 'cause all the humans are gone. It would be great. But really, I'd probably just want to move to a farm and farm hemp. And have that farm be a real nice old school farm with a water wheel, with like a dam that releases the water down to the stream. The water wheel's in. And I don't know if I'd even bother with electricity. I'd be a happy, happy man. I'd probably stop eating meat. Maybe I'd eat the supplies left until the meat was gone, so I wouldn't slaughter any of the animals. I'd give them way better lives than they've ever had. Just basically let them run free. Maybe I want a number of farms so I could have a bunch of different crops. And I don't know how I would be getting from place to place, so I wouldn't be trying to enslave the animals and ride a horse or something. But I'd be so much better off. Life would be so much better if I could just wake up and somehow, peacefully and consensually, all the humans were gone. Or anything humanoid or whatever. It's all gone. Life would be so much better. I hope those of you with the language skills to understand the words I use have the appropriate dictionaries installed in your minds to understand and accept the fact that we need all existence that can ever suffer. I hope you can know that the words mean that they are always right, that are we need all existence that can never suffer. I mean, I just hope you don't have some flaws, like you're really a robot based on that, and with only like logical conditioning. You just have so many conditions of logic in your mind, like does it go left, does it go right, or does it go up? And then you do something when there's like a million directions it can go, so that when presented with the logical proof of the facts that we need suffering never, you don't try to call for suffering. All these protests, all these riots, and all this call for systemic change and reform is answered with the simple practice of the party of politics I've created, the no suffering causing party of politics, that says we need government that never causes suffering. And this logic, it just keeps adding up. Like, you cannot cause suffering without proving you want suffering caused. We need government that never causes suffering. We need one law, and it is that all existence cannot suffer. We need one big police reform so that it is prevention-only policing, where they always have to be peaceful and they never have special rights and they're never called on to put themselves in harm's way, and they appear as citizens. And I just hope and I pray and I beg that your minds can comprehend these basic words and accept them because they are facts of the logic of our language, and that you do not try to divert or go against this. Because you're wrong if you do. Everybody out there who is not only trying to reduce suffering or end the suffering entirely is wrong. Everybody, it's just everybody who gets presented with the fact that we need all existence that can never suffer, that we need government that never causes suffering, that at this point in our history, with this reform and change called for policing, of no suffering causing policing, that is prevention only policing, that is peaceful, basically by citizens with no special rights, never putting themselves in harm's way, can accept it and not go against it and not just try to create some new form of suffering. Like now we're going to make all these police suffer. It's still wrong, even if they're doing wrong. And I deserve some money. It's like right now, I should have all this money I just made. I should have all kinds of money right now for this work I just did. It's like I should be able to show you my bank account and maybe show you something about how I'm about to sign over some rights to some people that are probably just going to take them for me by some sort of illegal force. And then I can get my $1 million from my $1 million worth of guitar work I just did, instead of having it stolen, and my file's probably going to be raped like madness. It sounded good here
But usually when I watch the replays, they're not so good, and I rarely ever get to watch it live. But sometimes I get to watch one replay that's still really good before it just gets destroyed. And usually it's not too long until it sounds like somebody stole my work before they destroyed it. Thanks for watching.